Hi there, this is Linda from Linda Loves Creating, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In this video, I'm putting together my Project Life spread for the week of June 12th through June 18th, 2023. And I'm working with pieces of the Work Story Kit and my stash. I had a couple cards left from the Work Story Kit that I really wanted to use on a Project Life spread, but I did need to pull in some other pieces, so this was a great opportunity to do some stash busting. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, I'm working on this spread and I decided to use the Work Story Kit again. I had used it for the previous spread and I have a process video for that one, so if you missed that, I will link it in the corner now. But basically what I decided to do was do a second spread in my Project Life album using the Work Story Kit. And I'm really just kind of using these two cards, and I also put a few of these labels in here. I'm gonna need to go into my stash to get some things for this spread as well, but first I'm just kind of going through the photos and things that I have from this week and figuring out kind of where I want to include things. So let's see, this week my daughter went to a concert. I cleaned out my closet. I printed out some news, a news article, because sometimes I like to try to include like world news and local news and stuff. I often forget, but that's kind of my goal. My cat got a new litter box. I went out for sushi. So I just have a few different things. Let's see, I'm trying to just kind of get an idea of where I want to include things. Oh, I was originally thinking I would include this, like, maybe not. I don't know that that's going to work. But I think this one will work like on a card as a journaling spot. And then this one, I think maybe I'll use like on there. I'm not sure, but for now I'm gonna go ahead and dig into my stash and I'll be back on here to see what I want to fill the rest of these holes with. Okay, so I went into my paper scrap stash and I pulled out these two scraps that I think have good colors to kind of go with this kit. So I'm going to crop this one down to make my title card. And this one was from Freckled Fawn. This is from one of the recent kits. I want to say maybe May, but I think that the colors looked really good with these colors. And this being red and green, I didn't want to have it look Christmassy. So I thought this was a really good pattern that brings in both the reds and the greens without it looking Christmassy. So that's a good title card. And then I have this one I was thinking for a base for that. So I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna look, but I'm just gonna go ahead and crop it. And this is like an older Studio Calico scrap. I think I probably had this one in my stash for a while, but I liked it because it's the green and it's bringing in the red. And I think bringing in the yellow is what makes it not Christmassy. So I like that. Then these ones here, I want to put like before and after on them, but I'm just grabbed some white cardstock from my stash to do some 3x4 cards for behind them. So I'm just gonna put like this, and this is like the after, and that's the before, because I did my closet clean out. And these, for whatever reason, got squished. So I'm just cropping off the good part. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go through my stash. I think I want some filler cards for these, and then a pattern card that's maybe not so busy because this one's so busy for there. So I'm gonna do that on fast forward, and I will go ahead and start the voiceover. Okay, so I started by going over to my stash and going through my Project Life cards. And I have these organized in various categories. These are the very specific sentiments. I like to go through these first to try to use up some of these ones that are harder to use. So I pulled out a couple of them, and then I ended up switching that one for this one. And I really went mostly based on colors. And if you're curious about my Project Life card organization, I do have a video all about that, which I have linked up at the eye. And so I am going through these solid or colored ones. So these are pattern cards that I have sorted based on color. And I went through the reds and the oranges because I thought that that might be a good color to go behind this photo of my daughter, but everything just looked too busy. And I really like the color scheme I have going on as is. So I decided to pull over the neutrals, and I ended up selecting this one that just had like this light, almost tan colored outline of flowers on it. So it doesn't bring in any additional color, and I like that. Now I'm moving on to the journaling. I considered backing this label so it wasn't so busy, but I decided that that kind of goes against the entire point of having these transparent labels. So I'm just going to go with it and write on top of it. It is this like slick vellum, so my pen wasn't working on it, so I ended up having to pull over a Sharpie, which I'm not thrilled with because I don't know how well these Sharpies hold up, but I know that it's going to work on this type of material, so I did end up going with that on that label. I moved over to these 4x6 journaling cards. One says hard work and one says life work. And I decided to make just kind of bullet pointed lists on these. I'm using a Zig dot marker to make the bullet points, and I have those linked down below in my supply list. And I'm just doing 5 points on each of different things going on. On the life work one, I did 5 things that I'm working on this week. And the hard work, it was 5 things about my daughter. And I mostly focused on just the stories I wanted to tell from the week, but I tried to frame them from the perspective of work, which is super fun. And one of the things I love about Story Kids, I'm sure you've heard me talk about that before if you've watched any of my videos, but I love how the Story Kids give us a different framework to tell our everyday life stories. So on this one for hard work, I talked about how it was my daughter's last day of high school, how she's working more at her job, how she met with her boss to discuss getting a promotion, how we went to go get some stuff because we were hosting a grad cap decorating party the following week, and then what she did for Father's Day with her dad. On my card, the life work one, I wrote about how I had a super productive week and got a lot of things done, how I had some rough times this week, but I'm still working through those, how I went and ran errands on Saturday morning, and how I got a lot of cleaning done. And I finally organized my closet, which was a huge project on my to-do list. So you can see those photos in the bottom right-hand side of my spread. I have the before and after and the picture of my room with everything strewn out during the process. And then finally, I wrote just about all of the craft projects that I'm working on, and just a list of random little things that I'm working on this week that didn't make it elsewhere on either card. So I'm just finishing up my journaling. I like to do all of my journaling cards at once so that I can make sure that all of the stories that I want to tell make it onto a card, and I don't end up at the end of the spread with stories left that I didn't get told, or a card that has space for journaling and no more stories left to tell, which does sometimes happen because I do like journaling cards a lot, but sometimes I don't have a ton to say. So it's a hard balance for me to make sure that I have the right amount of journaling space. I pulled over this washi tape from my stash. I have gotten back into washi tape again lately. It was one of those things that was super popular a while ago, and it kind of fell out of favor with scrapbookers, or at least with me. And now that I've gotten more into planning and journaling, washi tape is very, very popular in the planner and journaling community. And I think it's very entertaining as someone who's coming from a scrapbooking background to move into the journaling and planning community and see the trends that they have that are maybe years behind some of the trends that we had in the scrapbooking industry. So it's very interesting to me, some of the things that are popular for them. And I like bringing those back into my scrapbook layouts, and it gives me kind of a fresh perspective, which is super fun. So on these ones here, I put the washi tape behind my photos. My photos were originally taken to be Instagram stories, so they don't crop to 3x4. And instead of cropping out part of the photo, I printed them at their true dimensions and then put them on top of white cardstock here with that washi tape. And then I'm using these alpha stickers from Kelly Perky's shop. These are from her old shop that has now closed, but she does have the Paper Person shop.
and I do have that linked down below in case you're interested. These are great stickers for just regular font, and I pick up a ton of sheets of them so that I won't ever run out of the letters that I need. On this title card, I'm using a piece of pattern paper that is from Freckled Fawn from, I believe it was their May kit, and it might still be in the shop. If so, I will link it down below. I cropped it to a 4x6 and then added one of the labels from the Work Story kit and stamped out my dates on there. On this photo here, I had layered 2 photos of Pumpkin looking at his new litter box in a layered template that I made in Photoshop Elements, and I'm using one of the labels from the Work Story kit, and again, these alpha stickers to write new cat box. When I'm creating a spread, especially when I'm doing one that's not from a kit, I will select a few elements from my stash like these these alpha stickers here, and I will use them over and over again to make sure that the spread stays cohesive, even though I am pulling things from various kits and manufacturers and products. So that way the spread all ties together, like the fact that I'm using that same washi tape on multiple cards and I used these alpha stickers throughout. Now I'm going into my chipboard organization to use some chipboard pieces as embellishments. If you're curious about my chipboard organization, I do have a video about that, and I will link that up at the eye. But I pulled out the chipboard pieces that some I have organized by theme and some I have organized by color. So I pulled out the ones that were red because I thought that that would go well with this spread, and I also pulled out the ones that were the theme of clean, organized, and errands. And I ended up pulling out that tag that says ready for a refresh because I thought that was perfect for this large photo of my room mid-process of cleaning out my closet. And then I'm using some of the red ones. The ones that I sort by color are the ones that have very general sentiments that can go on pretty much any photo or spread, or have no sentiment at all. So the ones that I ended up selecting say things like, I want to remember what life looks like right now, most loved, everyday treasures, story, and adventure, and a little arrow that I put on that one for the new cat box. So these are just very general sentiments, but I liked that I used the one color scheme. I'm using up more of my red chipboard, which is something I wanted to do. I partially selected this color because the red pile was kind of overflowing its little spot in my organization system, but also because it went with the spread. But that was kind of why I picked red over the green color or the orange that's also in this spread. So I decided that that was really all I needed to do to embellish it. It seemed pretty busy and it just seemed done to me. So I'm just going ahead and trimming down cards and fitting them in the pockets. I do want to mention these sentiment cards that I used, the one that says laughing so hard I can hardly breathe. I didn't really have a specific story for that one this week. It's just kind of a general sentiment. I'm sure I laughed at some point this week, but I wasn't really thinking of anything in particular. I just decided to use it because I really liked the colors and the way it looked with the spread. So sometimes just don't be afraid to use your stash, even if it's not necessarily perfect for the spread. Pumpkin came over to say hello as I was wrapping up my project. And here's a look at that finished spread. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.